We're in week 25 of the year 2026, and by the end of this video, you're going to know my key levels, forecast, and bias for DXY, EURUSD, GBPUSD, USDCHF, gold, and BTCUSD. So this is just a sneak peek of my Notion trading journal. If you want to start journaling your trade using these templates, I'll leave a link in the description box below. So we're going to start our analysis from dollar index, and we'll start from the monthly time frame. And as you can see so far, this is what we have. If you look at dollar index, you realize. So you can see we had all this drop the whole of last year, and then we had all this consolidation for some few months. And so far, you can see price actually left behind a fair value gap. And if you're looking at this from analysis point of view, we can say right now this market is really at a discount. So if you're going to continue selling, you don't want to sell from here. So you want to see actually price retrace, get to this monthly fair value gap. Once price gets to this monthly fair value gap, that's now when at that point you can now think, okay, maybe it might continue bearish. But as of now, I'm bullish until we finally get to this monthly fair value gap. So let's look at the weekly time frame, and you can see right now it's so clear when you're having all this consolidation. Finally, price swept all this liquidity. Then we had this bullish move. We can see at this point the market did what? We got a market structure shift here. Once you got that, you can see we had a retracement. You can see price just retraced within this dealing range, because from this low to this high, there was a dealing range that was created by price. So you can see price actually retraced to this fair value gap and also this inversion fair value gap. So I consider this a retracement to a discount PDRE. Once we had the retracement, you can see right now price is now doing what? We are now continuing with the bullish move. And remember, our draw of liquidity is this monthly fair value gap. So far on the weekly time frame, you can see clearly we had price actually inverted there's a tiny fair value gap here, which actually got inverted by price. And last week, this is what we had. So where we stand, we want to see a bullish dollar index. So we can get still a deeper retracement to this weekly inversion fair value gap before we continue going higher, or price can actually fail to get here and we continue going higher. So let's look at the daily time frame. You can clearly see on the daily time frame, of course, this is the weekly inversion fair value gap. It's so clear here. On the daily time frame, you can see we have this fair value gap, and also we have this inversion fair value gap with a gap right here, which you can clearly see again. Price has already tagged, which is good. So we want to see either price can just use this as support to push price higher, or we can still get a retracement for price to tag the weekly inversion fair value gap before we continue going higher. So let's look at USDCHF. So USDCHF and dollar index are positively correlated, so which means we want to see dollar and USDCHF move in the same direction. Now, if you look at it from this point where price is right now, and we're going to start with the weekly time frame, you can see very well we had all this bullish push, and then price retraced. So all this is just a retracement to a discount PDRE. You can see price actually retraced to this volume imbalance. So all this is a retracement, and it got support. And so far, this is what we have. And you can also clearly see price actually left behind a fair value gap as of last week. So right now, that is good. We just want to see more bullish momentum. Price can actually retrace, tag this, and then we continue going higher. So let's look at the daily time frame. You can see here we have a daily fair value gap, and the weekly fair value gap is right here. So the weekly fair value gap and the daily fair value gap actually are together around here. So, and right now price has actually tagged this daily fair value gap. So it would be nice actually if you see open price to tag still inside this fair value gap, still well inside this weekly fair value gap, then we see that bullish momentum. So let's look at EURUSD. So EURUSD and dollar index are negatively correlated. So if you look clearly for EURUSD on the monthly time frame, you can see we had all this bullish momentum, some consolidation, and then you can see price actually retraced to a discount PDRE, which is this discount fair value gap. Once price got here again, what happened? We got a new higher high. So you can see at this point we have a break of structure right here. The market has made a new higher high, so which means at this point EURUSD is really at a premium. If you want to continue buying, you don't want to buy when price is above here. The best place to buy from is where is from a discount level. And you can see so far price actually left behind a monthly fair value gap, and we also have an order block right here. and actually the order block is at the 50% of this dealing range. So we want to see price actually retrace, tag this monthly fair value gap and this order block, and then now from here, if it's still bullish, this is the best place we want to buy from. So because it's on the monthly time frame and price has not yet gotten to this monthly fair value gap, that's now what we are trading. We are bearish and our draw of liquidity is this monthly fair value gap. So let's look at the weekly time frame, and you can see it is so clear. We had all this bearish momentum, price giving us market structure shift right there. If you take your Fibonacci tool from that high to this low, you can see 50% of this daily range is right here, where we have this fair value gap and this volume imbalance. And you can see actually price retraced. It did not violate this volume imbalance. This volume imbalance actually was respected by price all this weekend, and you can see the candle bodies are inside the volume imbalance. So once price had that retracement to a premium level, now we've had all this bearish momentum. So we want to see the market do what? We want to see the market make a lower low, because you can see this is a low, this is just a retracement. The next thing is what? Is lower low. So which means our draw of liquidity is this external range liquidity, our immediate draw of liquidity. But of course, the final draw of liquidity is the monthly fair value gap and the monthly order block. So let's look at the daily time frame, and you can see clearly we have this inversion fair value gap, and we also have this daily fair value gap, which we actually looked at last week. We want to see price target, and then we see bearish momentum. So it's still the same thing. We still want to see that. So far price has already tagged it. Now we want to see a bearish movement going forward. So let's look at GBPUSD, which is positively correlated with EURUSD. So we want to see a bearish EURUSD, the same thing for GBPUSD. So I'm not going to really do a lot. We're just going to look at the daily time frame. And you can see actually price has tagged this fair value gap, and we also have this order block here. So what we want to see from here, we just want to see a bearish momentum. So we're going to look at gold, and for gold I want us to start doing analysis from the 3 months time frame, because for gold my draw of liquidity and target has been this 3 months fair value gap, which actually price has already gotten to. But if you look below, you can see we still have so many liquidity that price actually left behind, internal range liquidity, which is fair value gap. All these, you can see all this, there's a lot of fair value gap left behind by price. So for gold, historically, most of the time, when dollar is bullish, gold is normally bearish. So as long as you still expect a bullish dollar, I anticipate that gold is still going to give us the correction that we want, because of course you can see all these discount levels that gold has left behind. I expect that that can be levels that gold can get to for correction before it continues bullish. So let's look at the weekly time frame, and you can see again, for those people who've been together, you know very well we've been doing this analysis. You can see this weekly fair value gap, which price tagged, and so far we've had all this bearish momentum after price tagged this. So okay, of course gold is bearish, price has already gotten to these lows here. We're still looking for more sell side liquidity as potential levels that gold should get to. So let's look at the daily time frame, and on the daily you can actually clearly see price. We had that price tagged, and so far we had all this bearish momentum, and right now we have this very tiny fair value gap here, which actually got tagged by price on Friday. So I see two things: either price will use this to push price lower, or we can get a deeper retracement. You can see even there's an order block here before we get that bearish move, because right now we have this order block, which I can just mark it there. So let's look at BTCUSD, which is Bitcoin, and we're going to start from the 6 months time frame. I just want to show you something. So now if you look at this chart, you can see clearly, of course, it has been bullish. You can see from this time we made a high, and there was break of structure right here. So at this point, you can see a new dealing range was formed, and then you can see price actually retraced to this fair value gap. Once you had a retracement to this fair value gap, you can see this fair value gap supported price, and we made a new higher high. So at this point, you can see this is a break of structure we have right there. Now, if you look at the 6 months, you can see now price has started going bearish, and we have this so far. So because of this, and at this point, I consider this market really at a premium. So even if BTC is still bullish and we want to buy, the best place to buy from is from a discount. And if you take our fib tool and measure, okay, I'm not going to, I can just use, let's do this, and then you can see 50%. You can see if I do this, 50% of this is around here. So this is the discount of this whole range, which I call a daily range. You can see we have this fair value gap here, and we have an order block right here, which is really nice. Now, if BTC is still going to buy, I would really want to see, first of all, price get to this fair value gap and this order block before we see the bullish momentum, if it's still bullish. And remember, still below it, we still have another fair value gap, which can still even go lower to this fair value gap before we see that bullish momentum. But the point is, the first draw of liquidity for price for BTCUSD right now is this 6 months fair value gap that you see right here. So let's look at the 3 months time frame, and I want to show you something, guys. You can see the moment, of course, we had this retracement, price has been bullish. You can see we made this high, we got a retracement to this 3 months fair value gap, which supported price and pushed price higher, and then again price left behind this fair value gap, which you can see it got tagged by price, and we had that bullish momentum. Now, if this market was still bullish, if we were not ready to have that retracement on the 6 months fair value gap, we could, this 3 months fair value gap should have been used to push price higher, and then any other PDRE should still be used to continue pushing price higher. We would not want to see price invert 3 months PDREs. But then the moment price starts inverting the 3 months PDREs, and on the 6 months time frame we are at a premium, that is your first confirmation that this market is ready to give us that retracement to the 6 months fair value gap. And that is why you can see, I'm telling you guys, without a doubt, that I want to see price actually retraced to that discount level of the 6 months, because that is the time frame that is giving us a retracement before we see bullish move, if BTC will still be bullish. Now let's look at the monthly time frame, and on the monthly it's even more clear. You can see the moment we had that bullish move, you can see we had this bearish move here, fair value gap. You can see price actually tagged that fair value gap, and we've had all this bearish momentum. At this point, you can see we have market structure shift on the monthly time frame. You can see after I get that market structure shift, price left behind this fair value gap, which you can see price retraced, tagged this fair value gap so beautifully, and right now this is what we have. So remember, our draw of liquidity is what? This 6 months fair value gap. So this sell side liquidity here and this order block. So we are looking at 48,000 and also potentially 46,000 for BTCUSD. So now let's look at the weekly time frame. It's still the same thing, so clear. You can see price made a low, retracement, lower low. We got that retracement, and so far we've had all this bearish move, and you can see price actually has left behind a fair value gap, which is nice. So we want to see price open, tag this fair value gap, and then we see that bearish momentum. So let's look at the daily time frame, and we looked at this last week. We wanted to see price actually retrace. You can see on the daily we have this fair value gap and this fair value gap, and it's inside the weekly fair value gap. So we want to see either price tag this, use this to push price lower, or price to tag this fair value gap, and this should be used to push price lower. So those are the two levels that we are watching. But of course, the first thing is to first of all watch this, the first fair value gap. Once this gets inverted, that's when now you can think of watching the second fair value gap. So that is all I prepared for this weekly outlook video. If you enjoyed these videos, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.